Irish Guy, and it's that time of year again where the Irish Guy predicts the Premier League table and puts himself at massive risk of looking like a brain-dead lemon. But you know what's spooky? I'm gonna get this one at least 80% right. Lads, for every wrong predicted club I get in this Premier League table, then I will pull one hair out of my nose. Okay, no, that would work better if I was a 67-year-old man. By the way, if you're new, check out my shorts, which I'm dropping daily. That sounds really creepy. But also smash that subscribe button. Right, let's go. 20th Ipswich Town.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
I know, you're probably very confused. All you're doing is innocently watching a football video on your phone whilst noisily slurping your bowl of Nesquik at 4 p.m. in the afternoon. And yet I'm subjecting you to an earful from an angry Irish gargoyle who's been constipated for 17 days in a row. Lads, I'm screaming at the voices who are gassing up Ipswich Town. This is the most exciting newly promoted team in history, right? I'll tell you now, no manager has ever had this level of obscene immediate hype upon getting promoted to the Premier League. Come on, Kieran McKenna is yet to take charge of a single top-flight match. And yet this summer, he was on the shortlist for Manchester United, Chelsea, and apparently England. Look, what he's done is great. 2 promotions in a row is wonderful, but relax. This isn't some esoteric, once-in-a-lifetime, freakish Nobel Prize achievement. It's not like he's just invented the spoon. No, I've seen Nigel Atkins do this with Southampton before. Yeah, he's now the boss of Tranmere Rovers. Chris Wilder did the exact same thing with Sheffield United. Guess what? He just presided over one of the worst ever Premier League teams. Can we please wait before we start deciding that McKenna is the Northern Irish Pep? I mean, this man should probably bite your hand off if you offered him even 50% of the career Brendan Rodgers has had. Because I am telling you, by next summer, McKenna is suddenly going to be about as popular as a potato-faced hillbilly at a speed dating event. I made the mistake of falling for the Burnley hype a year ago. I then tipped them to finish 9th. Yeah, they were being coached by a future Bayern Munich manager, and they were still eating like fried chicken nuggets. If you believe that Ipswich are going to pull off a madness and survive in the Premier League with a rookie coach and a blatantly inexperienced squad, then you do you. You continue to eat your Ipswich Town ice cream. But you're probably also someone who thinks you're going to kidnap Santa Claus this Christmas and make him be your friend. No, lads, you continue to take paintings of McKenna in the shower, fine. But me, I just know they're going to have a truly horrible season. 23 points on the board, a goal difference of -50, and back to the championship. This whole season is going to make Ed Sheeran cry as if he forced him to listen to his own music for 14 hours straight. Honestly, lads, I'm telling you now, okay, but if the people's favourite Ipswich Town survive in the Premier League this season, then I will track down Lawrence McKenna and kiss his feet. 19th, Leicester City. Anyone think Leicester City are staying up? Anyone? Not only have they lost their manager and best player to Chelsea, but they're also going to be given a probable 10-point plus points deduction for PSR breaches. This is actually going to be really sad to watch. Gone is their championship winning manager Enzo Maresca, and in his place, a man who looks like he had his face squished by Donkey Kong. I like Steve Cooper. He's a decent coach and did great work at Forest, but I can't fathom what it must be like to have dinner with the guy. You just know he chews with his mouth open and probably drools in his soup. But listen, I think Cooper will get Leicester to fight. He'll knit them together and garner a bit of spirit from them. And unlike Ipswich, they do have a core of Premier League experience. So there is a chance, but at the minute, there is a complete lack of goals. Lads, Jamie Vardy turns 38 years old this season. I mean, for every Premier League goal he scores this campaign, I will dunk a bucket of ice cream over my face. 18th Southampton. This is the first time I have ever tipped the 3 promoted teams to go back down. Like, literally ever in my life. I mean, every time I saw somebody lazily tip the 3 teams that come up to go back down, I used to think, well, you've clearly got the ball knowledge of a fake banana, because at least one of them always stays up. But to see Luton Town, Burnley, and Sheffield United go back down with a combined 64 points, that was depressing beyond belief. I mean, forget 40 points. Not a single one came close to even scraping 30 points. The gap between the Premier League and the Championship is widening. So I actually think the Saints will be the best of the promoted teams. Look, they started and ended the season incredibly sloppily, losing 5-0 at Sunderland in September, and then 5-0 at Leicester in April. Horrendous away trips. But that middle of the season unbeaten run of 22 Championship games in a row. Fair play, Russell Martin, that was quality. And there is talent in this young, promising squad. Prize of Carlos Alcaraz was on loan at Juventus last year, and is apparently pretty good at tennis too. I mean, there's a bunch of players in the squad who soaked up knowledge in the Man City Academy, which might as well be Professor Xavier's School for the Gifted, as everyone who graduates from it turns out to be a superhero. So I think the Saints will give this one a go and actually take this battle onto the final game of the season. But ultimately, you'll be relegated by just a point. But honestly, most people think they will finish bottom of the league, and that Martin will be exposed for being some Love Island wannabe. Somebody who looks like he'd marry his own reflection if he had the chance. I mean, he's apparently going out with a celebrity Big Brother housemate. I mean, come on, Russ! You're a Premier League manager now, not one of the lads. But, lads, he is a former Swansea manager, okay? They usually do alright in the Prem. 17th Wolves. Gary O'Neill should feel lucky that I have chosen to save him from a relegation prediction, because yes, Me to Be Wolves finished last a year ago, aged about as well as the CGI in Spider-Man, but don't forget, they ended the season playing like a relegated team, side with 2 wins in the final 12 league matches. O'Neill was given ludicrous hype last season, even being linked with a Manchester United job, which is going to age so dreadfully. We will look back on that the same way we look back on Liverpool and Spurs squabbling over Frank de Boer, someone with the managerial acumen of a Burpoo sandwich. I'm sorry, but Wolves are in for a horrible season under O'Neill. He's going to be stuck in a relegation battle before he eventually gets his marching orders in February. Sorry, but Wolves are just about going to scrape survival on the final day with a dramatic home win over Brentford. After hiring Claude McAlady to save the day, it's going to be a terrible year for O'Neill. 16th Everton. Everton cannot, I repeat, cannot get relegated this season. Imagine if after surviving every single other Premier League season in existence, they then finally drop out of the league during their final season at Goodison Park, forcing the fans to embarrassingly trudge into their new brand spanking Riverside ground for an opening league match against Stevenage next August. Look, Everton are the dullest team in the league. Their last 3 seasons, 39 points, 36 points, and 40 points. Forget about the glamour and prestige of the club. They're pretty much now just what Burnley used to be. A boring, consistent, ugly to watch, snot bucket of a football team. Look, I rate a couple of their new signings like Jacob Bryan and Tim Origabudum, but the sale of Amadou Onana is a loss. It'll be another slog, but they'll stay up on 40 points again. 15th Chelsea. What? I realize, okay, I know this looks like a moronic prediction on paper, and we often get these sausage-brained, overreactionary takes on Twitter every summer. I mean, people saw that Spurs sold Harry Kane and concluded that they'll be in a relegation battle. No, you simplistic meatloafs, no! So yes, predicting a £1 billion squad to be rotting in 15th is ludicrous. Isn't it? No. Because this is Chelsea's DNA. I have seen a title-winning Chelsea team spend Christmas sitting 14th in the league when they had Jose Mourinho at the helm. We saw the bulk of a Champions League winning Chelsea team wind up in a spineless 12th 2 years ago. Pochettino was onto a good thing at Chelsea. They were a fun, vibrant, attacking side, and he gets sacked for Enzo Maresca. By the way, somebody who is going to be in the top 5 managerial jokes in Premier League history. Choked into the same rotten, hellish cesspool filled with Frank de Boer, Bob Bradley, Nathan Jones, and Remy Gard. It's hilarious. Because of the genius of Pep Guardiola and the success of Mikel Arteta, it's now become customary and fashionable to hire men who've ever spent any amount of time learning under Pep. I mean, soon we're going to have championship clubs just handing out managerial jobs to guys who've delivered Pep his post. I mean, someone who served him a flat white and a cookie at Costa Coffee once back in 2018 might as well start applying for a job at Swansea. Maresca is somebody who very nearly bottled his own good work at Leicester last season, losing 7 of the last 14 league matches. Chelsea are hiring somebody who lasted just 14 games as boss of Parma in Serie B. Maresca is going to be a man who's going to have his career defined by one short-lived promotion, like when Roberto Di Matteo took West Brom up in 2011 and then strangely fluked a Champions League as Chelsea boss. But what is he doing nowadays? Probably about to open up a coffee shop in a Cypriot village. Unlike RDM, Maresca ain't having any sort of success at Stamford Bridge. Not even the Conference League. Because he'll be sacked by Christmas. The players won't like him. His system is going to be so incredibly open. Trust me, lads, Chelsea are going to be losing games 4 or 5-0. If he was a boxer, he would fight with his hands by his waist. I think Maresca, like the last Italian who took charge of Stamford Bridge, I think he is in line to receive a historically bad 6-0 thumping from someone. He will be sacked by Christmas, with Chelsea legitimately hovering around the relegation zone. This would be like Christmas 2015 levels of ineptitude before someone like Erden Turchik comes in to steer a marginal improvement out of this messy bunch. But trust me, it's going to be another nightmare year. 14th Brentford. Yeah, it looks like Ivan Toney is staying, so yeah, I'll tip Brentford to finish a comfy 14th. 13th Nottingham Forest. Nobody, absolutely nobody, thinks that Nottingham Forest will finish this high in the league, right? But why not? this is a talented crop of players. And Nuno Santo actually be given a pre-season to implement his magic, I think he will turn Forest into a tough-to-beat, counter-attacking side. Very similar to what he had with Wolves, when, don't forget, he got a newly promoted team to finish 7th in the league. People have sneered at Santo ever since his Tottenham failure, but his work at Molineux was brilliant. I think Forest will be absolutely fine. 12th Fulham. Fulham, under Marco Silva, are that team who are incredibly comfortable at wallowing in mid-table mediocrity. After the absolute decade of torture they had to endure after the dizzy heights of European football, then I think they're fine with that little rust. Just keep letting Silva squeak them into the top half of the bottom half. Yeah, a boring 12th. 11th Brighton. Look, I have always been trying to drag down the Brighton hype train. So you might think now they just plumped for the biggest managerial risk in Premier League history, appointing a hipster poster boy from St. Pauli, someone who's just 4 months older than KSI. It's insane, right? Surely this is an opportune moment for me to tip an absolute implosion and a relegation from the top flight. Now, anybody who is tipping Brighton's talented squad of sizzling ballers to go down clearly doesn't know ball. You know what? I wanted to tip Fabian Husler to be an absolute mess of a coach, but nah, I think it'll just be another unspectacular 11th. 10th, Crystal Palace. Look, Oliver Glasner worked an absolute madness at Crystal Palace last season, steering them away from relegation trouble to their first top half finish since 2015. But relax. I was impressed by his good work too, but I know they ended the season with a blistering 6 wins from the final 7 matches. But for those who think that form will carry into the whole of next season, like when Leicester City put off that great escape in the spring of 2015 and then won the Premier League, yeah, that ain't gonna happen this time around. It just won't, because I remember when Sunderland clicked into crazy form in the spring of 2014, winning 4 games in a row, including victories at Stamford Bridge and Old Trafford. Surely they were going to carry that into next season and squeak European football. No, they only won 2 of their opening 16 games and lost 8-0 at Southampton. I think Palace will be good, don't get me wrong, but European football, no. Look, I'll say this, okay? Palace have always recorded a points total in the 40s in each of the last 11 Premier League seasons since getting a promotion in 2013. So I'll say this. I actually think they will get 50 plus points. So, if they don't get a points total in the 50s, then I will pour 20 yogurts over my head and stand out in the sun. Oh, wow, the pigeons are going to give me a haircut with their beaks. 9th, Bournemouth. I love this Bournemouth team. Andoni Iraola has created a sickening madness of a side, an adventurous, free-flowing, brave team. So yeah, I think this Andoni Iraola project ultimately ends up with European football. But not this season. No, don't worry. I know, you probably all think that I want to eat Iraola's hair with a spoon. I bet it tastes of cookies and marmalade. But it won't be Europe just yet, no. 8th, Aston Villa. Don't look at me like that.
Oh, the Irish guy hates Aston Villa. What?
No, what? I'm still tipping Aston Villa to finish as high as 8th. That's still pretty good for a team who are going to be weighed down by actual Champions League football. That takes its toll on a squad. Is it any coincidence that it's being tossed into the frenetic Champions League group of death at Newcastle, then had the worst injury crisis in the history of their club? I mean, what happens if Ollie Watkins gets injured? I'm guessing Villa suddenly flounder like a paraplegic crab. Look, Villa had a great season last year, but there were still some horribly worrying moments where the team utterly collapsed, like losing 5-1 at Newcastle and 5-0 at Crystal Palace, bookending the season with truly disgusting performances. How about an abject 2-0 defeat at Nottingham Forest, or the 4-0 home loss to Spurs, or conceding 4 goals at home to a team from Greece? Villa are not this flawless Champions League team. You might think all of that is irrelevant because they still got 4th, but no. What this reminds me of is when Newcastle squad overachieved in 2012, when they were hunting down Champions League football all season and ultimately finished 5th. A great season, sure, but like Villa, there were obvious horrible moments, like losing 4-2 at Norwich City, losing 3-2 at home to West Brom, conceding 5 at Fulham and 5 at Spurs, losing 4-0 at Wigan. Yeah, the following season, with European football on their back, Newcastle finished 16th. It was a season so bad that it actually gave birth to the true Geordie, waking him up like a sea monster at the bottom of the ocean. So I'm not going to say that they're going to be that bad, don't worry. This is still a much better team than what Newcastle had then, but there are massive weaknesses in Emery's side. And so yeah, 8th, and okay, I know you'll be angry, so if they'll ever repeat the trick and actually 2 qualify for the Champions League again, then I will randomly find and hug 50 Aston Villa fans. 7th, West Ham. Where do you think West Ham finished last season? Like 14th, 15th? Something like that, right? It was a horror show mess. Protest against David Moyes, 6-0 defeats at home, conceding 5 goals on 3 different away days, including 2 away trips in a row. Somehow losing a match at Newcastle despite being 3-1 up with 20 minutes left on the clock. The manager literally pining for Declan Rice in press conferences. No, they actually finished 9th. Huh? 9th? Really? it didn't feel like ninth. Look, I don't think Julian Lopetegui is a world-class coach or anything. He's not the next Emery. But West Ham have a sickeningly talented squad. The likes of Paqueta and Kudus are Champions League filth. And chucking players like Bowen, Ward-Prowse, Lewis Guilherme, Kilman, Fulkrug. This squad has absolutely enough star quality to claw themselves back into Europe. Without a doubt. And lads, if the Hammers don't finish in the top half of the league, then I will spend 48 hours living in a sleeping bag underneath a bridge. 6 Tottenham. Look, Tottenham massively fell apart at the end of last season. 5 defeats from their final 7 league games was atrocious. Spurs should have been able to capitalise on Villa's woeful sloppiness and nick 4th from them, but no. Ange Postecoglou's boys absolutely imploded. And after their final home match of the season against Man City, this gruff Aussie boss looked like he wanted to cry. I think that has actually driven a rift between him and the fans. So look, I still think it'll be a good season, but Spurs will look nothing like that crazily adventurous attacking team that started last season. I'll say you'll just about squeak above West Ham in the league, but it'll probably come down to a point. 5th, Man United. Look, I think that Erik ten Hag is going to have another failed season as Manchester United boss on paper, but no. When 5th equals disaster in literally every other season at Old Trafford, he is going to be let off the hook because I think 5th will get them back into the Champions League anyway. Lads, it's like UEFA just want to make it so easy for big, underperforming clubs to still get back into the Champions League. I remember the days when Sir Bobby Robson was sacked for finishing 5th with Newcastle. Nowadays, that probably gets you into the Champions League in England. Lads, if this was always the way, then Tottenham would be preparing for their 13th Champions League campaign since 2005. Yikes. Look, this will be an improvement on last season. The new recruits are great, and so yeah, 5th will get you into the Champions League, I guess. So, well done. Oh, lads, no, this feels wrong. Congratulating Man United for finishing 5th. 4th, Newcastle. Yes. For all of you who think that Newcastle United are not qualifying for the Champions League, then I can only surmise that you are a fool who probably thinks that Donald Duck is a real person. The Magpies are the most obvious choice to steal Villa's 4th spot because, lads, they're not in any form of European competition. They can concentrate solely on one mission of getting themselves back into the Champions League. They brought in the likes of Lloyd Kelly. They're sniffing around Mark Gay. They finally got Sandro Tonali back in a season of transition for so many in this league. Eddie Howe is absolutely stealing back Champions League football in a swashbuckling style. And that's if they don't, okay? If Newcastle don't qualify for either the Champions League or the Europa League, if they don't get one of those, then I will swim across a freezing cold lake 10 times whilst wearing a cow onesie. 3rd, Arsenal. Nah, I'm sorry, but after 2 intense, psychologically grueling and exhausting and ultimately fruitless title challenges, where the Gunners have wound up with nothing to show for their efforts, this is the 3rd season where mental fatigue will set in. Look, Arsenal are still a quality side, but just ask Jurgen Klopp what happens after 2 seasons of impeccably high standards, because Liverpool put 97 points on the board in 2019, then 99 points in 2020, and then 69 the season after. After playing at an almost perfect level for 2 years, standards slip, and so will Arsenal's. I mean, this won't be a disaster season. It'll be a sizable step back from their 89 points last season, though. I'll go with 80 points for them this time out, which is still good, you ungrateful hamsters. Praise of Arsene Wenger won you a league title with less points than that in 1998. How did 78 points win the league that year? 2nd, Liverpool. Look, I was half thinking that Liverpool would have a really horrible Moisey-esque fall off after the great emperor has gone, but to be fair, the Reds have looked ferocious in pre-season. All their players seem happy. Even Mo Salah looks like a rejuvenated new man after turning into an Egyptian skinhead. So yeah, I think they will pip Arsenal by maybe a point. I think they're going to squeeze themselves back into 2nd, but I mean, there will be no title race. No, it'll be a very, very forgettable 2nd. 1st, Man City. 5 in a row. Easy, easy, easy. Oh, the Premier League has turned into the Uber Eats league on so fast that Pep Guardiola should arguably hop on a bicycle and start delivering folks their lunch, because this is every inch what the French league has become. Anyway, that's David. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. What do you think? Let me know. What are your predictions? Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe as always. I'll talk to you in a while.